Hi, my name is Andrew Clacher, and I'm going to show you how to draw and then paint a tree without leaves in watercolours. I hope you'll watch it, and if you enjoy it, have a go. It's not as difficult as you think. There's just a few things to keep in mind. First of all, you need to look carefully at the structure of the tree and how the tree has grown. Every tree is different, and you just need to look really carefully. Now with this tree, I've started off drawing the tree trunk and drawing some of the main branches. It's a bit like drawing a figure. You have to look. The tree trunk is like the spine. You also have to notice how the branches divide, and you'll see that they obviously get smaller each time they divide. Each change in width of the branches is a new season. So as a small tree grows, every season it stops growing during the winter, and then in the spring it sends out new shoots, and each of those new shoots is set off at a different angle. So what I like to do when I'm drawing is to kind of draw with a staccato style, almost straight lines really, and you observe a change in direction. At that change in direction, it's probably best to stop, think about which way you need to go, and then move forward and until you get to the next change of direction, and then move forward again. And you're building up the tree that way. If you try to describe a whole branch that has quite a few bends in it in one go, what it will tend to look is it'll look a bit like a snake. It'll have a very amorphous, soft, unreal look to it. Although trees are flexible, the branches are strong, and they're made up of strong joins and corners, and it's really important to get that character in the tree. As you carry on working, you'll find that the tree will build up very quickly. Now it's important not to try and draw every single branch. You'll see from the photo that the actual tree has many more branches than I've drawn, and just try and get the character of the tree without doing too much. Now, the other thing to think about is when we come to paint it, we're not necessarily going to stick exactly to the pencil lines. So it's important to draw freely, draw loosely, but keep in mind that when you come to paint it, you're going to be painting loosely. So these are just indications, but they will be very helpful. So it is important to look carefully and try to get the character of the tree. Right, well, I think I'm almost finished the drawing. Don't do too much. Now the next stage will be to mix your colours. I'm just going to use a very simple palette. I'm going to use three primaries: ultramarine blue, cadmium red, and cadmium yellow. So as you can see here, I'm just starting to mix my first colour, so ultramarine blue and cadmium red, which makes a kind of purpley, dull purpley grey. And you can't see it from there, but I'm adding some cadmium yellow, and it's just made a really nice kind of purpley grey. Now, without cleaning the brush, I've just gone straight in and added some more cadmium yellow, a bit more ultramarine blue, and you can see I've made a kind of dirty kind of green. So these colours are all for the bark on the tree, and it's important to have more than one colour. If you have if you only one colour, it's going to be pretty flat. So I've got a green, a purpley grey, and now I'm mixing a really nice dark, almost a black, with ultramarine blue, cadmium red, a little bit of cadmium yellow, but much stronger in colour, and that will make a really nice strong dark, so we'll get some variation of tone within the tree. Right, now we get to the exciting bit, the painting. I'm just adding a little bit more blue to make that grey a bit darker, and I'm going straight into the painting. Starting at the bottom of the tree, at the base of the tree trunk, and just think about how you're holding your brush, and try and keep, although you're having to paint reasonably accurately, you're having to paint reasonably loosely and with a nice wet technique. I always remind my students just to try to keep plenty of water on the paper. That will allow you to reintroduce other colours and keep a fluidity to your brush marks. So I'm starting off on the tree trunk and then moving my way up to larger, stronger branches. And same with these ones, try to be confident. You don't have to keep exactly to the pencil lines. You need to make confident brush marks, and if they're not exactly within the pencil lines you've drawn, that's fine. If you try to then correct it and almost paint by numbers fill in the drawing you've done, it'll very quickly become stiff and it just won't work. So be confident, think about each part of the branch before you do it. How wide is it going to be? What direction it's going in? It's a little bit like doing the drawing. You need to have a slightly staccato technique. You'll notice that as I paint the branches, I use a kind of almost a flicky technique, and that's especially important as you get to the finer branches. So as you get near the end of each branch and you're doing those fine branches, flick out usually, and you can flick the other way, but it's easy to flick out, and use the tip of the brush. If you find it easier, switch to a finer brush, to a rigger brush, or finer brush for those fine branches. I'm actually using a really nice sable brush that comes to a fine point, so I'm able to get really nice fine marks with this brush. But if you find that difficult, switch to a finer brush and you'll be able to put those really fine branches at the end. Now, the other thing I've not mentioned is the colours. So generally, on the left-hand side of the tree, they're going to be a little bit darker. So I'm using that darker colour on the left-hand side of the tree. But I'm also, if you look at the tree, there are darker bits and on the right-hand side, and you'll probably see that I've just put some branches in that are darker on the right-hand side. If the more fluently your work, as you paint and you switch from colour to colour, the colours will bleed into each other or blend into each other, and you'll get this kind of wonderful effect of complex effect of many colours within the tree. Even though you've only mixed 3 colours, you'll get a more complex effect than that. If you go too slowly, every time you switch colour, you'll have boundary lines or edges to where you've switched colours. So that's why you need to be careful, but also you need to work reasonably fluently and quickly, so that as you extend the branches out, the colours blend into each other, and you don't have these cauliflower or background effects. Well, I'm almost finished. I'm just putting a few extra little bits in. Um, Remember, you don't have to put every single branch that you see from the photograph or from life that you're working from. Um, you can use judgment. Now, I'm just going down to the bottom of the tree. It's important to make the tree sit down um, within the landscape or within the field or wherever it is. So I'm kind of with this sketch. I'm just really putting a shadow in, but the shadow is on grass, and so I'm painting that main shadow out first from the tree, but I'm also using some dry brush techniques and little flicky techniques. I'm kind of holding the brush um, on its side and flicking up to create textures of grass and other bits and bobs at the base of the tree. And you can see there I'm also just added some little darks within the tree. So I quite like doing that. If you've painted reasonably fluently, you'll still have the tree will still be a little bit wet, and you'll be able to come back in and add little bits of extra dark into those areas. Right, well, I think I'm done. Hopefully you'll enjoy this video, and it'll give you a bit more confidence when you come to paint trees.